Yo, what's up? I'm gonna test this out. We're just gonna rock this out and see what happens. And welcome to Titanovix's deck tech for Commander. And we're gonna check on Meria today. So let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's see how. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, that looks good. Let's just hold it right there. Seems solid. All right, everybody. So this is who we're talking about today. And I'll bring it up so you can maybe get a better idea. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Meria, she is a Gruul commander. You can see she has one forest, one mountain, one colorless, and she can tap an untapped non-token artifact for adding a green mana. And for her other effect that she has, she can tap two non-token artifacts and then exile the top card of our library, and we may play it that turn. So multifaceted. She's got some kind of, I'd say, a very key effect is listed first to add to the green, and there's might be some occasions where you might want to exile the top card of your library and maybe find some extra gas. So yeah, overall it's really solid. So let's just roll through the deck a little bit, and we can kind of get an idea of what we're trying to do. We're going to be playing a lot of zero cost and one colorless cost artifacts. So for instance, we're going to be playing cards such as Eater of Virtue and Shadow Spear. Those are going to be really important for us. We're still going to play the ramp. Meria's not always going to be on the battlefield, so it's important to us to also establish some ramp. For instance, with the Arcane Signet. So we're going to be playing cards like that, and we're going to go pretty big with this deck. So we're going to be playing some big green and red creatures. So like Turn Timber Symbiosis is some extra value that we're going to have. So we'll just kind of keep these going here. And then we're going to be playing like a pretty good amount of artifacts. We're going to have a lot of artifact synergy here. And these are great. So, and we want to play like a lot of Congestion in 1 and 2. So Patrick Automaton, which is a 2 colorless. And whenever you play an artifact, it gets a buff. So a 1/1 counter gets put on it, and it has War 2, so it's nice. It's going to grow. It's going to be a good player in this deck for sure. Of course, we're going to have our forest. We'll have a little landfall kind of synergy here. So we will talk about that, but we do have some creatures that will synergize with that. So Oracle of Moldiah is good. It's just going to keep our land gas going, and it's just going to be a solid creature card for this deck. It's non-artifact. We'll just keep rolling through these. Here we go. So here's starting from some of our zero cost artifacts. Bauble versus Bauble is just going to be fantastic here. And we have a lot of good zero artifact cards that can basically give us value if we need them to, which is fantastic. They're basically acting as mana rocks, and they can draw us cards if we need to look for some answers. This is a great card, Haywire Might. It's from the new Brothers War set. No, I can't say enough about this card. Just comes down and also can tap itself with Meria on the battlefield, and you can sack it to destroy any problematic enchantments, artifacts that are on the board for your opponent, or it just can sit around and just hang out. And it gains life. Wow. Really good. Okay, so yeah, Eska's Chariot. We all know what this card did. In Kaldheim, just super busted vehicle card. Makes tokens when it comes out. Also acts as another just mana rock if we needed to. But yeah, this is where it's going to work well. It's going to create tokens for us. We do like tokens in this deck because we will be running some big baddies. So we got the boots in here. We run 2 type of protection artifacts. We run the the boots, Swiftfoot boots. And we also will run the Lightning Greaves. What's good about boots in this deck too is it also pays for itself with Meria on the battlefield. You don't have to tap it or anything. It just basically it comes down and you can just taps it with Meria for the 1. It pays for itself and it can just go on a creature. So just another great thing. Okay, so here obviously we're coming into a win con. So this card just ends games fast. This is probably going to be one of the, if you do run a list like this with Meria, it's probably going to be some of the fastest commander games you're going to play. You'd be surprised. Just of course, I mean, Crater Hoof kind of just ends games, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. Sylvan Library, very good. And I'll talk about maybe some tips about how not to die with this card. We have added some defense in this deck. For instance, a Thran Spider. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That has reach. So reach is definitely some issues that we're gonna have to kind of address in this deck. But with Sylvan Library, we'll also talk about that a little bit later. I do have cards in here that will gain us life, so we'll get into that in a moment. Okay, Sword of Forge and Frontier. This is the new sword. I'll give a read on this one because it's great. So it has protection from red and green once it's equipped. You get 2/2 as well for the creature. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to an opponent, you can exile the top 2 cards. You may play an additional land this turn. Just fantastic. A+. We got a man land here from the Midnight Hunt, I believe. Yeah, I think so. Rank Bankbuster, MVP in Standard still right now. Probably the best card in Standard. Changed my mind about that, but this card is a staple in Standard, and it's really good here. So we're going to play it here. Just draws cards. For instance, if you don't know about this card, it is a vehicle. It comes with 3 charge counters. When you tap it for 2, or pay 2 and tap it, you get to draw. If you do remove all the charge counters, you get to make a pilot token, which is can crew vehicles, as it had power 2 or greater. And yeah, and then also you would also get so it basically crews the Bankbuster, which is nice if you do make it, and it creates a treasure. So yeah, very good card here. 4/4 stats, nice. Here is the Shatter Skull Smashing. Just another multi-phase card that we're going to be playing. Very nice option here. Can also work as a removal spell if you needed to. And so we'll get into some of the newer additions that I've kind of been finding. The Howling Mine. Now this is an older version, but the newer version basically states that this effect only is granted if this card is untapped. So basically, we're going to be wanting to tap down the Howling Mine with Meria, and basically untapping it to basically get the double card. It's going to be the Chef's Kiss. Yeah. Okay. So this deck is very good. It's got a lot of good things going for it. It's got a lot of fun interactions with it. That's what we want, right? We want it to be fun. We want the gameplay to be fun for ourselves, and yeah, we want to show off the commander, right? A little Graveyard Hate and the Soul Guide Lantern. Can also draw cards too, which is nice. This is a newer card I'm going to be trying. I think it's going to be really good in the opener. It's probably going to be able to get out some of my, by turn 3 or turn 4, once it accumulates the charges, it could probably put down, perhaps like an Augur of Autumn, or even like a dragon engine, Phyrexian Dragon Engine. So I'm willing to try it out and give it a go. It's 1 cost, and it's gonna, at the worst, it'll be a mana rock. So we're not hating it, So we're not hating the Aether Vial. Okay, Luca. I really like Luca in this deck. I do have 2 Planeswalkers, including Luca. I really like the -4 on here. I'm gonna be able to kill a lot of creatures. Because I do play some very high-powered cards in this, very high-powered creature cards. So Luca is just going to be an MVP. So there's Luca. Yeah, I'm just moving through this. Explorer Scope. I'm not going to be too sad about this. We do have some landfall synergies, and then it pays for itself to equip with Meria on the battlefield. So yeah, and it's 1 cost. So I need a lot of 0 cost, 1 cost artifacts. I want those in my opener. Okay, here we're coming to one of our first dual lands. This is from this is an older version, but there's the Karplusan Forest, and I do believe this is in. Let's see, it's probably in the Kamigawa or Brotherhood's War. These pain lands, so they're very nice. Burn down the house. This can create tokens, or it can kind of hit the board if we need to control the board a little bit. Maybe your opponents are playing token decks themselves. and you just might need to bring down some control. It's a very, very good option. So burn down the house, I really like it here. Does 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or create 3 1/1 red devil creatures with haste. Okay. Boseiju. This is a very expensive card and a very effective card. Acts as a land, or you can channel it to destroy a target artifact or enchantment. If you do, they have the option to find a basic, I believe. Yeah, search the library for, a land card with the basic type. So, and it costs less if you have a legendary. So these channel lands are definitely a good addition to run. Okay, so coming into Shadow Spear now. This card is going to be a great hit off of our Urza Saga. So let's maybe see if I can just go ahead and find the Urza Saga here. This is definitely going to be your target for the Urza Saga, I'd say probably 99% of the time. Just because it's going to basically, you're going to make a huge construct, and in doing so, you're going to be able to get that life, especially if you have like a Sylvan Library on board that's kind of sucking you. This is going to be a great wombo combo. So yeah, so here's the Shadow Spear here, and so it's 1 cost, and from your third chapter here, you can search for a 1-drop artifact and put it on the battlefield. This is going to be the one to do, and your construct is going to basically be coming in, and with all the artifacts on board, it's probably likely going to be around a 3/3 when all this stuff goes off. Perhaps turn 4, turn 5. When you're comfortable to bring down the Saga and get all the modes from it. So yeah, I'm very high on this combo in the deck, and I think the Shadow Spear, even if your construct gets interacted with, which will probably become a target, the Shadow Spear still will stay on the board, and we'll be able to equip it to something else to start getting some life with. So overall, these two together are just going to be very good. Again, Shadow Spear, once it's equipped, it gets a creature 1/1, and it gives it also trample and lifelink, in case you were wondering, and also has that one where basically creatures lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, which is nice. It's nice. Yeah, it's really good. So Vandal Blast here. This is a card where it can destroy an artifact at sorcery speed that you don't control, or overload it. You may pay it for 5. 4 colors and 1 mountain, and you'll destroy all artifacts that opponents control. The overload is just awesome. Wow. Really strong. So, I mean, what we're seeing is that we're going to be able to control the board to a degree. We're also going to be able to run over the opponent, which is nice. This is a great card. I've ended games with this many times. Thunderfoot Baloth. It comes down. It gives all my other creatures on the board, if I control Meria, 2/2. It itself gets 2/2, and it will have trample as well. Yeah, it's just the boss. So everything has trample, everything gets 2/2. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so this is an interesting card, like the Synthesizer. So, I mean, there's ways to play this in a deck, I'm not even opposed to playing it on turn 1, but with a caveat, like I really don't want, if I have any other 0 mana artifacts in my hand, I'm probably going to be less likely to want to play this on turn 1, because I do want those 0 mana artifacts to be a possible hit. And I'm fine with playing this on turn 1. For instance, I might have a turn 2 play, which is another artifact. And I just want to basically have, when Meria comes down, I want her to be able to be starting to tap for as much mana as possible. So I'm okay with playing this on turn 1, even though like most likely we're going to whiff. But there is the possibility that we will just be able to hit that glorious 0 mana artifact off the Synthesizer and also play it the same turn, which is just going to be a crazy start. So yeah, why not? Give it a go. So that's the Synthesizer. When it comes down, you exile the top card of your library. You may play that turn. Yep, and also has the 3 effect where you can do it. You can also do the first mode again, plus you get a 2/2 samurai creature. I have in here Kazul's Fury, which is kind of just like a fun, but also perhaps effective card that can be used just to maybe get that last hit, or maybe a strategic hit where I'm just sacrificing a creature and dealing its damage of its power to any target. So yeah, I think it's a fine little multi-face card just to, just have in the deck, because we do have those high power creatures. Here's a Dark Sphere. It's a 0. Let me just here. Cool. It's a 0 mana artifact here, where if I tap it, I can prevent half the damage done to you by a single source random down. Really, the most important part about these is the 0 cost. We want to get these out so we can just have Meria just kind of pop off and just produce a lot of mana. Sensitized Divining Top. This card is really good just because, it can actually pay for its 1 in a colon. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. It can just pay for that, and with Meria on the board, pay for itself. So that's some pretty good just overall value. You can just kind of see what's coming up, and it's very good to manipulate too if you have like an Oracle and Moldiva on the battlefield. I would say it's also good if you have your Sword of Forge and Frontier and you want to basically make sure you're hitting that land off the sword so you can play another additional land. Yeah. And of course, you can also tap it to draw a card and then put this back on the top of the library. So there is kind of maybe even some possibilities where you could draw a card, put it on top, put this back on the top of your library, and maybe even use Meria's static of tap 2 untap non-creature artifacts to get this back and kind of make a little bit of a loop. So, but yeah, you'd definitely be losing mana in the process there along the way, but it'd probably be pretty nice just to get some cards in hand if you needed it. So the Divining Top. This is a nice vehicle, Heart of the Kirin. It's just going to come down. It's going to be able to start putting some pressure on our opponents, and also acts as a mana source if we needed to. I think it's a very good addition. Moloch, this is a cool, the times I played this, I'm always casting it for its benefit. It's Ravenous, where it's coming in with 5/1/1s. So basically it's a 7 mana creature that comes in and fights another creature. If it dies, if that creature dies, it exiles. Also, if the Ravenous was paid as it enters the battlefield, you also get to draw a card. So nice. A card, a fight, exile, all good. This card has been very good in the deck too, Managorger Hydra. This thing is grows pretty well. You can get it out pretty fast too in Meria. If you do get a nice opening, you can get these 3 mana CMC cards out if you have your artifacts in place with Meria on turn 3. So if you get this out on turn 3 with Meria, you can really start putting a lot of pressure on the opponents. If you have a Shadow Spear, for instance, on the battlefield, this card is going to gain you a lot of life as well. So sweet. Okay, and then so then basically again we have our 1 mana artifacts like the Research Desk, Mox Amber. We have our fetch lands here if we want to activate our landfall. Here's the Great Henge. I'm sure a lot of you know about this card. It's just something else, isn't it? It's going to gain us a ton of life. It's going to make our creatures bigger. It's going to keep our card draw going. It's just everything for this deck. It's just all the goodies. Lightning Greaves. So this basically is a 2-cost artifact, and it's going to give usually our commander is going to get the hexproof. There's some other targets that I like to put this on, like our Terror of the Peaks, which we'll probably get into soon. But the equip is 0, so it's nice. It comes for 2, and it could pay for other stuff too, which is a little better than Swiftfoot Boots. So slightly better. All right, and then our Chaos Warp here. This is a card that we're probably going to be targeting our opponents with. Usually, if maybe we know about something that's coming up on our top of our deck, and maybe we want to get that card onto the battlefield. That's also a possibility too. So just a great card. Yeah. Chaos Warp, Castle Garenbrig. This gives us a little bit of fast mana advantage If we have a forest on the battlefield for 4, including 2 forests, you tap it, you add 6 forests. So it's just basically it gives you a mana advantage of 1, which is nice when you do activate it, but it's just going to produce green mana. Elder Gargaroth, I just look at this card and I'm saying, wow, this card's got some serious text on it. Like, you really don't see a lot of text on cards. Like, but if you want like maybe a lesson to text, this has got some serious text, and its cost is just kind of astounding. So 3 colorless, 2 forests, vigilance, reach, and trample. Whenever Elder Gargaroth attacks or blocks, choose 1. Create a 3/3 green beast token. You gain 3 life or draw a card. I'd say probably draw a card is kind of the most common, but if you're good on cards, maybe you want to start creating beasts. Maybe if you want life, you can start gaining life. So whenever attacks or blocks. So what a card. No one really wants to mess with you if you get this thing down, you know. Hopefully you want to get this thing down T4 and maybe put some Swiftfoot boots on it or some lightning greaves. And then we'll be in the driver's seat. Cityscape lever. Maybe my favorite card out of this whole deck. I just love that you can just cast it and just blow up anything on the board. For instance, maybe there's a Meria on his wake, and you just want to blow it up, or some other problematic enchantment or artifact. This thing just comes down and just kind of controls it and stabilizes your next turn. And basically keeps coming. So if it doesn't get killed, it's coming back next turn. It's going to blow something else up when it attacks, and it's an 8/8 trampler. Just an awesome card. Okay, so now, all right, we're going to go to the Ornithopter here for 0 mana. Just a 0 mana 0/2. This is going to help us cheat out some things earlier. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. This is from Brothers War 2. I love this card. I love how you can unearth it and get some more gas and draw more cards. It's just a perfect fit for this deck. It's got a little bit of an attack side where it's got double strike, so it can defend, it can attack. It's just going to do all those things that we want it to do. Okay, Blasphemous Act. This card can stabilize some boards if we need to, stabilize some boards. We're going to probably be playing it for 3 or less and just kind of blowing up things. And, this is good if we have our bank busters kind of left, or, we can plan ahead for this card. We can keep some cards in hand and kind of build our board back up and, get some card advantage. This card's going to be fine. Blasphemous Act. Defiler of Vigor, another card that's just great in here. Once this comes down, we can pay less for our creature cards, or our green permanent cards, excuse me. They cost 1 green less. So you would basically pay the Phyrexian cost for that, which is 2 life. And then once the green permanent does come into play, all our things get 1/1 buff. So just another fantastic card. Have I sold you on the deck yet? It's looking pretty nice, I know. I got lots of help. I will shout out the dojo, the CGB dojo. I mean, you guys have given me a lot of help on this one, and I've gotten to Commander recently. I've been kind of a constructed junkie for a while, and not that I don't like to play it anymore, but I do like this. I like the singleton. I like that I don't have to buy 4 copies of cards now. That's what I've done, and I built my collection like that. So it's been pretty nice when I go to the store. I have like duplicates of all these really nice cards, and I really didn't need to do that. These are the first like kind of real human interactions I've had with Magics, and it's been very fun. I do play at Commander games in Las Vegas, and that location is on Jones and Desert Inn. So if you guys are ever in town, I'm probably going to be there, like usually on the weekends, but I really like it there. It's really fun, really good place to go. The people are nice, and the players are good. Surprisingly, I was like, I didn't know what would happen when I game, but they know their game. It's like, you can play on arena, and the players are decent enough. But it was nice. It was refreshing. The people there like to play, and it's fun. It's pretty relaxed. Here's the Enra's Forerunners. This is like another Crater Hoof type of an effect, but this grants vigilance and 2/2. and trample to the creatures on your board when it comes on the battlefield, so just another win con. Augur of Autumn, this is going to play with our top of our library exposed, and we can play lands from the top of our library, which is nice. And if we have the 3 powers with creatures, 3 different powers of creatures on the battlefield, we can play creature cards from the library as well. So another nice effect. Okay, we're just going to go here. Mishra's Bauble, this is another 0 cost. It just draws gas, draws cards if you sack it. Winter Orb. This is going to be just another like really offensive card that we can run with Meria. So basically, as long as this card is tapped, then I will be able to untap myself. So there's new text for this card. So basically, on the opponent's end step, I go ahead and tap it down, and then when it comes to me, I can go ahead and untap all of my lands once I and basically as it untaps, and then it basically runs around, and my opponents are only allowed to untap 1 land per their turn. So yeah, I think this is perfect for Meria and is more competitive, I guess. I really just kind of looked into this card. Like I was like, it seems like I think there's they call it stacks. I am somewhat new, to the game. But yeah, this just seems kind of absurd. So we're gonna try it. I like absurd things. So here's Beast Within. This is just a card that at instant speed I can destroy a target permanent. It's just really could keep me alive in certain situations. Maybe if there's a lot of pressure being put, I can maybe take out a creature of some sort, kind of keep me alive. So Beast Within. So basically it destroys target permanent, and that controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. This is easy to hold up because I do have like a lot of artifacts that are just kind of sometimes chilling at the end of the turn. So kind of sneaky removal. Bond and Construct, just a 2/1. Can't attack alone. It's 1 mana cost, so we like creatures that are cheap and somewhat powerful for 1 cost. Here's our Avenger of Zendikar. This is kind of works into our Crater Hoof and Enraged Tyrant. Also, just it's gonna these tokens kind of get strong with the Oracle out, the Sword out, the Augur just constantly bringing out lands. I do have a couple fetch lands too, like the Fable Passage. So it's an older card, but it seems this is from my old collection from way back. So when I used to play Magic, so a couple years ago, when I got back in after the pandemic, of course. Kogla, not much to say, except it's a big baddie. It comes down and fights something. When it attacks, it can destroy target artifact or enchantment, so just great card. Just love Kogla. Here's a kind of a newer edition, the Thran Spider. This is nice because it's going to provide us the Power Stone, which is good for our artifacts. And also it's just an artifact itself. It's a 2/4 with reach. This is just good defensive card. Plus it helps, it actually kind of, for our artifacts, it acts as like a double ramp card. So it's just really good with Meria. Some of the lines that you could take with, for instance, with like a Thran Spider, you could basically, turn 4, play your Thran Spider. The Power Stone would be tapped. But, I guess, like, for instance, if you brought this down T3, or, I'd say it's more of like because usually you want to get Meria. I'll be honest, you really want to get your commander out on turn 3. So I'd say at turn 4, this is good, and then you're gonna have this come out and act as a mana source, and then come turn 5, you're gonna be able to play like your sword on the cheap. And basically, it kind of snowballs. It's definitely like this deck kind of is a snowball where you're getting a lot of value out of your artifacts. So I really like that Thran Spider here. Here's Phylath, kind of works as our kind of like our Avenger of Zendikar, where we're going to be making some plants. And once we add more lands, each time the land is put to the battlefield, then we get to put a 4/1/1 counters on a plant token that we've created. So it basically, when it comes on the battlefield, it creates 0/1 green plant creature tokens for each basic land you control. So we're looking to create like, 4 to 5 tokens because we get these things out pretty fast. These higher CMC cards. So, and then we really want to kind of get them juiced up with our landfall. Chandra, just one of my favorite planeswalkers for this deck. I love the +1 to add 2. It's just such good ramp. I just love it. I just love this card so much. Just what a great planeswalker. Terror of the Peaks. This card can get out of control once it comes onto the battlefield if it's not answered. Once my creatures kind of keep popping in, it's going to deal that much damage to any target that I want. And so there's some pretty powerful creatures that come into the battlefield. So Terror of the Peaks is just going to be a nice threat. All right, I'm just going to keep going. Titan of Industry from New Campana. This is the card I don't have in here is the Fable, the Kiki Jiki Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I mean, there's probably a cut that I can make for it. It'd be nice to copy things, like for instance, a Terror of the Peaks or a Titan. So that's something I'm considering. The price is $18, but this deck is, here's Sakanzan. This is another channel land that makes 1/1s. It's kind of hard to decide to what cuts do you want to make. For instance, the cut I could consider for the Fable would be the Augur of Autumn, but I do love that card too. So it's kind of gets tricky, where you have these cards that kind of have your synergy with your deck. Perhaps the Fable is slightly better. Perhaps it's a lot better. It just kind of depends, And the thing about the Augur too, it's 3 green, basically. It's two green and 1 colorless. So there are lines where I could play Meria on turn 3, and I wouldn't be able to play the Fable because it does require a mountain. But I would be able to play the Augur if I had 3 artifacts on board. So that's kind of are we going to play Game Theory Optimal? Then yeah, I do want the Augur to come down on turn 3 with Meria. I do. I definitely want to do that. So it's kind of there's a couple different lines, to consider. So it doesn't make it so clear cut. Here's Den of the Bugbear, great man land that can become a 3/2 goblin creature, and when it attacks, it creates another goblin. So can kind of get busy if the board gets wiped, and at the end of the game maybe, and you need to start poking away. Den of the Bugbear could be the card, or it could just get offensive. You could get on offense with it because you do make so much mana with artifacts. And then we have the Unlicensed Hearse. This is another MVP for the deck. This thing is just going to keep the graveyard in check. It's also an artifact, so I could use it for mana, for instance, if I needed to, of course. And there we go. So there is a couple cards left here to go through. Okay, Goldspan Dragon was just one of the most broken cards we've seen so far since I started playing Arena. And why? Because it basically pays for itself, as we've heard before, mostly. So it's basically kind of like a 3-drop, because once it comes down, it makes a treasure that can be tapped for 2 mana. And also, if it's ever targeted, it will create a treasure as well. So it has some inherent protection as flying and haste. So it's very evasive. It gets in to an opponent. It makes treasures. Maybe another reason to run the Fable and the Mirror Breaker. But, that's a discussion. I can look into the future, see if there's any cuts to be made that might be serve that card. But I'm pretty happy where the deck is at. Here's Tormod's Crypt. This can exile artifact graveyard from a target player's graveyard from the game. And then I have Return of the Wild Speaker. That's 0 cost, by the way. Return of the Wild Speaker, this card has been great. I usually will use it to draw cards. So I'll have a high-powered creature, and I'll draw 6 or 7 cards. It's just a great card for 5 mana. I make some big creatures, so. Bulmat Courier. There's another card called Hope of Gibraltar, which was kind of I think that could be a good substitution too here. You could if you wanted to, get nitpicky about it. Even perhaps the Bonded Construct that I showed earlier, that was a 2/1 for 1. The Hope of Gibraltar is basically if it deals combat damage to a player, it can be sacked. throughout until your next upkeep, I believe, to prevent any you could basically counter a non-creature spell. So, yeah, that sounds pretty good too. But for now, I just got the Beaumont Courier, and I don't think I'm going to be too sad about that. Basically, when it attacks, you can exile the top card of your library face down, and then for 1 mountain, you can discard your hand, sacrifice Beaumont Courier, put all cards exiled with Beaumont Courier into their owner's hands. So maybe it's a little bit gas if you need to get some gas. And then I have the Crag Crown Pathway here. Just the pathway. I really like the pathways, and the Chromatic Star. So just another 1-mana artifact that draws cards. I've seen Meria done a couple ways. I've seen other people, and I love it. I love all the iterations. So a lot of people kind of have like these, basically where they're just getting the Mystic Forge out, and basically from there, like playing like everything off the top of their deck, getting the Aetherflux Reservoir online, and basically kind of winning the game in a win condition such as that. Mystic Forge for me didn't really work too well in this deck. I play a lot more creatures in here. This is like kind of how I played it in the Historic Brawl, and it hasn't really lost too much of its personality. It's basically gonna get the value from the creatures and your artifacts and play some pretty strong cards, pretty strong creature cards, and just basically overrunning your opponents from there. So I guess we should just kind of finish this video off by a little bit of a shuffle, maybe a playthrough, see how it looks, and when you're dealt a hand, that'd kind of be fun. We'll see how it looks, and hopefully we don't have to mulligan, but I'm pretty sure this deck is kind of nice, so I think we're gonna be fine. A nice little shuffle here. All right. Just cut it, and let's see what happens. All right, there's a Thran Spider, Forest, Automaton. We really would like a 1-cost artifact to kind of get this train rolling here. That's good, a Haywire Might. See, the castle's kind of awkward. Hopefully we can pick up another basic land of some sort. Leveler and Hearse. I really think I probably would keep this hand. It is kind of risky. But there is some lines, like if we don't draw our land, we can go ahead and just open with Castle, and Haywire Might can basically come down for free once we play Meria on turn 3. If we do, we would have to draw land too. So you could consider a mulligan, but I do run, I think, 41 lands plus in this deck. 39 to 41. So yeah, I mean, I got enough artifacts in here, so I'm not too sad. All right, let's see what happens. We'll draw. Okay, so we would draw a mountain here. So we still do have some options here. We could go for it. We could go for it and just go ahead and go turn 1 Haywire Might, which could be fine. Or we could just try not to get punished and go for a castle. And I'll show you how this line would work. Yeah, let's go ahead and play castle T1, tap, and just say go from there. Okay, so then we would go ahead and draw Blasphemous Act. So we'd go ahead and just play our Automaton here. Okay, that'd be fine for G2. And then we're gonna move on to T3. Got a Forest there, it's nice. Could have used that in our opener, to be honest. It would have been really nice, actually. So we'll go ahead and play I'll show how this works. So we'd play Meria here. Play our commander out. And then we would go ahead, tap the Automaton for a Haywire Might. This would get a 1/1 counter. So our board state's looking pretty good. Now our next turn's gonna look really good. It says, all of a sudden, if Meria lives, all of a sudden we have 6 mana to play with, so that's kind of nice. So the line I think probably would be here from now is probably just get our chariot out. And basically we'd create our kitties. And then we'd also have three floating here to play our Thran Spider. Yeah, that would be the play. So we'd get the buff here from the Thran Spider, 2 more artifacts, our automaton would grow. Make a Power Stone, give someone else who's probably not going to use Power Stones, like a Mardu opponent of some sort, would be fine. This is, of course, in contingent that Meria lives, but I think it's fine just to kind of run these out to see what happens. And then we draw for turn again. And now, at this point, you can see we just have lots of lands. From here, we could go into Leveler here, onto something. Our automaton would grow again. We have our chariot just putting in work. We could start sifting off the type of our library. We could, of course, play our hearse if we wanted to. So we can try to keep our gas going. So, not a bad one. Let's try one more, just for fun. Our mana kind of stunk on that one. It's brutal. It's unfortunate that our castle kind of inhibited our mojo, but I think it's worth it. I still think it's worth it. I didn't really want to mold that hand either. It's just because you could see I had a good kind of line there on T3 just to get our might out through the automaton. So it wasn't like the worst. Alright, let's do this. Probably won't really play through it like I did, but just kind of look at the opener and see our possibilities here. Ideally, we want to get 3 artifacts out by the time we play Meria, so we want actually some 0 costs. Would have been probably maybe worth mulling that hand, but I don't know. I'm still getting it. Still working on this one. If your thoughts, let me know your thoughts on that. All right, if you watch this. Oh my God, Forest. Ooh. All right, so we're just kind of looking for maybe some mana fixing, maybe some red. I like the Divining Top, though. I can kind of get busy with that. Oh, this is good. Okay, Beaumont Courier. There's a mountain. And a Chariot. I think this is going to be probably really solid, so it might be fun just to kind of show you how I would play it. I'd probably just go ahead and start with a Courier. Go ahead and play that out, and we'll just slap somebody, exile a card. We didn't really look at that. It's fine. And then we go ahead and I don't know if I drew him, but it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then we play our land for turn. Go ahead and play the Divining Top for 1. All right, and we'll just probably attack again. Probably someone open. We'll just put that underneath. All right, so looking good. And then once it comes to our turn, we'll just go ahead and look at the top 3 cards, see if anything of the... Oh yeah, that's a lot of land. Probably just take the Rockfall Veil. This looks fine. All right, so then that's probably a move. So I'm curious, I really don't see the Divining Top very often. But I'm curious, I could probably draw the land, put the Divining Top on back, and then probably play it back out. So I think probably the line would be at end step 2, crack this, draw the land, put this on the top, untap, go ahead, play the land, play Meria. This is what I would have drawn for turn. I could play Meria, and then I could play the top by tapping down the Beaumat again. That could be a fun line. yeah, so I got some pretty strong cards here. So yeah, still something to work on, but I like all the options so far. From running those two, seems pretty decent. Yeah, it does the thing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, if you hung out with me, that's cool. See you later.